Hey, this is Matt Curtis here, and I'm with Mojave Daily News this week for the newest edition of Chalk Talk. And this week we're doing it a little different. We're coming off the field and off the courts, and we're going to take it to the dirt a little bit here. And with me, with Team Anderson Ford BMX, I've got Sid Casillas. Most of them know him as Sid the Kid out there on the track, or Sid Sells. But Sid is one of the riders for Anderson Ford BMX team, as well as the coach for the team. So kind of wanted to get out here with you, Sid, and talk a little bit about it. I know it's a big sport here in the Mojave area. Okay. I know there's a lot of kids that have been doing it, and adults for that matter, but have been doing it for a long, long time out here. But I don't think the sport gets a whole lot of attention. Mm-hmm. So I know we came together, you and I, and we talked about this here at Anderson Ford and said, let's put something together that we can get some of these kids out riding and help them out with their state and national events and stuff along those lines. Right. Sid and his dad, actually, Sid's dad, Frank Casillas, owns Rad Stop Bike Shop, and he's been a long-time part of the BMX community out here. And Sid is involved with us as well. He's the team mechanic for the team. But tell me, Sid, I know you've grown up in the sport of BMX, correct?
Yeah, man, yeah. I started racing BMX when I was about 4.5 years old. I started actually out in Lake Havasu City, Arizona at their Sarah Park BMX track. So I started racing there. Once this track opened up, I want to say somewhere around 2007 or 2008, I transferred to this BMX track. The local scene started to pop up a little bit, and Colorado River BMX has been the home for me and a lot of the local riders here. We have quite a few local riders that compete highly on the national level. Of course, a lot of the local riders do pretty well in the state rankings as well as the district rankings, which is kind of the tri-state area. So I started racing BMX when I was a very young age, and the local scene has definitely helped me and helped a lot of the riders kind of grow over the last 10 years or so.
Right on. So talking about the local scene a little bit, it's pretty cool. I know Bullhead City has their own track here. Turnell has the track over here in Bullhead City. I know you got a real good relationship with Turnell. You've been racing over there with them for a long, long time. What is it that it does for the community? I mean, having the local track available. I think they do practices on Thursdays, and then they race on Fridays. Is that right? Yeah.
So there's open practice on Thursday, and they race on Fridays. It's a really good thing for kids in the community because it's a different sport. For one, it's not a bench sport, so it kind of keeps kids involved at all times whenever they want to compete. And there isn't a coach or someone to tell you necessarily where you're right or wrong or to take you out of the game. So that's where a lot of kids kind of draw to the fact, and a lot of kids just like the fair competitiveness of racing against their friends. So it's really good at giving kids a nice place to come and do something kind of on their own. Also interact with other kids, meet a lot of new friends, and have their own friends come out and join them as well. And it keeps kids off the street, kind of the same with a lot of sports, but this one is a little bit different. Like I said, you can kind of take it from just riding your bicycle around the streets and take it to the BMX track and kind of have a whole combined, realm of BMX riding. A lot of people say it's not only about BMX racing, it's about BMX as a whole. So, I think that's the one thing about BMX racing is that it combines the whole aspect of BMX into kind of the culture of it. So it's definitely something a little bit different. A lot of kids kind of draw to, and a lot of kids enjoy it.
Right on. So let me ask you this: if there was some kids out here in the local community that wanted to get into riding, or their parents want to get them into the BMX scene to where they can actually get out to the track. I know we've got a lot of kids that probably go out and ride their bikes just at the local park or on the streets and stuff like that, but if a parent wanted to get their kid into BMX, and how would they go about doing that, or where would they start? Yeah,
so it's fairly easy. All the kid really needs is a bicycle, helmet, and long sleeve shirt, and pants is what they recommend, of course, just for the protective wear. But on the open practice days of Thursday, and even on the race days of Friday, is a really good opportunity for kids to go out, at least check it out. And I think the first day is actually free for kids. After that, you do have to pay for a membership. But once you have the membership, it's $5 to practice or $10 to race here locally, and it's fairly easy for anyone to really join into. It's not where you have to have a whole sign-up process or you have to try out. It's really, as long as you have a bicycle and the protective needs, you can go out there and do what you can. Go out there and ride.
Right on. I think it's been a good thing. It's brought some community together. We've got sponsors there on the jersey that you can see. We've had Polly's Chiropractic, Eagle Masonry and Fence, Ed Dean over there, Black Mountain Realty with Todd Levitt, Full Throttle Custom Spaces with Jeff over at Lake Havasu. His son Tanner is one of our riders, actually. We've got MJT Designs. They're one of the photographers. They're out there at the track all the time. Dark Side Customs is a shop out of San Diego, California, that they've reached all the way out. They wanted to be a part of the team here. Mojave Valley Raceway, Ron and Misty out there, they've been a sponsor. They actually want to work with me on trying to do some things and get some BMX events out at the racetrack out there. So, you know, it's a lot of people in the community who've kind of come together that want to be a part of this and want to sponsor it and want to give back to the kids in this community. And again, I keep saying kids, but also to some of the adults. I mean, you're 23 years old?
Yeah, 23.
23 years old. I know you'd kind of taken a little break from the racing scene for a while, and I know last year you made your debut back out at South Point, and the announcers down there, they all knew him, and when they first read his name on that roster coming up, they go into the gate, they made a big deal about him. These guys were talking about, oh wow, I haven't seen Sid the Kid out here in a while, and you know, they gave a shout out to Sid and to his dad. But you're out of the scene for a while. What's it like now to come back into the scene, not only as a rider, but to be able to give back and mentor some of these younger kids in the community that are following in your footsteps?
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably the best part about it for me now is, you know, being a young kid. I know every adult has those chances. You know, they look back and how they could do things differently. That's one of the main things. And so I use this opportunity to go back and instill what I know and what I would change as a kid. Because I mean, being in sports, a lot of the times it's having that one mentor you can really value and look into and respect what they have to say. Sometimes kids don't like listening to the parents or things like that. So I really value being you know, the different voice for the kids and just being there before. You know, I do have a lot of knowledge. I know a lot of people. I have a lot of bike skill and stuff like that. A lot of people do respect me for it. So I really like to go ahead and do what I can to give back to the kids and just do anything I can as far as coaching wise. When I'm out there on the track, I try to give them tips. I try to help them ride or make them ride with me. You know, when they want to, of course. So it's definitely a lot of fun, and having the team is a lot different for me. Being as a coach aspect, because like I said, you know, I'm so used to having that one role model that you really value what they say. So me being that one person is definitely a change of role for me. But you know, I'm loving every second of it so far. It's definitely a lot of fun, and you know, I can't wait to continue to have this team grow and see these kids grow in the tri-state area as well. That's awesome.
So I know, you know, we don't just have Bullhead, and like I mentioned earlier, we've got Tanner Too Fast Right out of Lake Havasu's on our team. You've got Larry Kendrick from Mojave Daily News. Crash is a part of our team here with Anderson. Who else do we have on the team? I know, so we got you, Tanner, Crash.
Yeah, so we have us three. We also have Parker Rice, another one of, I want to say he's a 16 expert out of Lake Havasu City. Ernie Ritaka, Brendan Chan. We also have Keoti Miller, 16 and 15-year-olds here that are locally. We also have Dr. Polly's kids, Drake and Cassius Knight. Evan and Russell Mink from Mink Construction. So we do have quite a few kids out here in the community, and you know, that are here on the team that, you know, I continue to try to help every week, and you know, give them another you know, another routing into the BMX world. So you know, we're every single week, you know, these kids are coming out. They're going to different races every weekend. They're doing the state races and stuff like that, and you know, gaining their points and earning their rank. And so they're killing it this year, man. They've actually had a lot of growing over the last few years. A lot of the kids have just maybe started racing over the last 2 years or so. Yeah. So seeing how they've progressed just in the last few months. This last season ended in December. It started again in January, and even those short few weeks of that break, you know, these kids have come back a lot faster, a lot stronger, wanting to learn a lot of new things. So it's you know, those kids are definitely going to have a lot of fun this next year.
Cool. So you touched on two things I want to get into here. First off, the points race. So I know over the past couple, I know Tanner ended off the year with took home some hardware, got a couple trophies, and went home, and so I know a lot of it is based on the points that you accumulate, and the way you accumulate those points is by the more races you race in. But then the other thing that you touched on was, you mentioned, you know, a couple of these guys are racing 16-year-old expert. So I was surprised to it. Like I said, I've come out of the football world. My sons have all been in motocross, so it's been a little bit different. But as far as the the different levels. So, I mean, I know you can come in as a novice rider, which is basically a beginning rider.
Right.
And then you can work your way up. And I was surprised to see how many there were. You're in a cruiser class, there was expert, there was all. So what are the ranks or the stages as you progress up, and what does it take to move up? You know,
Right.
we joke around and say, okay, in karate, you know, you can start out at a white belt and end up at a black belt. That's your goal. But
Right.
in the BMX world, you start out as a novice rider, correct? And then what's next after novice?
So you start out at novice. I want to say it's after 8 wins in your class or whatever races.
And
you
those
have
are
as
at
a
like
novice.
state events or something?
It's at your local races or state events. Actually, it's
Okay.
any race. Even if you go to a national, any race that you win, you have to have 8 wins counted underneath your belt, reported to USA BMX, and then you move on to intermediate. Once you're as an intermediate, I want to say you have to win about 21 or 24 wins, a little bit hazy for me, but 21 to 24 wins, and then you move on to an expert.
Okay.
And once you're an expert, that's pretty much where you're going to stay until you get to an age to where you can kind of go to a pro. Which I want to say is around 16. You can actually sign a pro contract and go pro. So it goes novice or beginner, then to intermediate, then your expert class. Then there also is a bigger wheelbase. So you have a 20-inch wheel, which what most people ride or kids would ride. And then we also have the cruiser class, which is a 24-inch wheel. So it's just a little bit bigger wheel. A lot of people use that just as extra track time. A lot of parents, dads, and mothers, that of course just want a little bit more of a secure ride on the bicycle. They go with the cruiser class. So those are pretty much the way it breaks down. So you have your novice, intermediate, expert, and your cruiser class as well. And you have pro rankings. BMX is also an Olympic sport, so we do have Olympians and elite medalists and pros that are out there that compete around the world on different circuits as well as kind of your national and your state and your local races.
Okay, so USA BMX is probably one of the main
USA BMX is the main I guess you'd say the main sanctioned body for BMX racing in the United States. It's the only one. There used to be 2, is the ABA and the NBL. They came and they formed USA BMX, I want to say in somewhere in the late teens of 2010ish.
Okay, and so this bike here is yours.
Yeah.
It's a funny looking bike to most people that aren't in the BMX world. You look at this thing and your seat is almost sitting on your tires.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming the reason for that is to keep that seat out of your way while you're riding.
Yeah, keep the seat out of the way. It's also plastic to keep it really lightweight. The same thing with the tires, as little drag as possible. These bikes are very, very light. They're made out of various ways of treated aluminum, chromoly, certain steel titanium frames are even out as well, certain carbon fiber frames. So really the whole game is aerodynamics and making sure the bike is light for speed.
What do you think that bike weighs?
My bike, I actually haven't weighed it. It probably weighs somewhere around 23-ish pounds. Most bikes that you're going to see, I mean, some of the little kids that have bikes that are 8 years old, some of their bikes don't even weigh 10 pounds.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's almost paperweight bikes, and my bike is fairly light, somewhere in between the 22 to 23 pound range.
And you probably can't tell with Sid sitting down, but he's about 8 feet tall. So for him to be on this bike out there, what are you actually? You're
I'm 6'5".
6'5". And to see him out on this bike, I mean, it's a spectacle. But the guy gets out there, he does it, he throws the bike around. It's pretty amazing. Like I said, I've never followed BMX until Sid came along here and convinced us to put this team together, and we're glad that we did. We've been out to the races. We've been out to the USA BMX.
Yeah, we went to the nationals that they
correct?
have. So they have a national circuit. They do a couple nationals in Las Vegas each year. A lot of local kids like to hit that one. There's one coming up in Phoenix as well on February 18th. They do live stream that, so if you guys happen to see the live stream, make sure you tune in to watch some of the local kids, or at least check out the sport on Facebook Live.
And that's the one right on USA BMX.
Yeah, it's going to be on USA BMX on their Facebook page. They live stream it, and it's a good introduction. It's really awesome. It's a really nice sport. A lot of action in there. It's pretty, it's a lot of fun.
Definitely fun. I've watched some of the live streams of the team. We've been out to the races. We were out at South Point in Vegas, and it was a pretty cool event out there. Had a tough weekend out there. We had a couple kids go down, one injury out there, but for the most part, I had some kids, had some of the younger guys out on the team with some really good finishes, got some good placing. Sid ended up going down in his main and got injured, but it really is a pretty cool sport. I've learned a lot about it since we've kind of partnered up here, and it really has been a cool experience for us. But here at Anderson Ford, one of the big things with us is we try to give back as much as we can to the community. So when we see something like this out there and we saw a need and Sid came to us with the need that they were looking for a team, they do a lot of traveling. It gets very, very expensive for these parents to be on the road, and these older guys, to be out there on the road and doing something they love, and to have that passion. The travel that goes into it. I mean, you guys, God, if you're doing nationals, how far do you travel?
Some kids are actually homeschooled because, they do have a national circuit. It goes from January to December. Like I said a little bit before, there's only 3 weeks of break time in between the season end, as you would call it. Some kids are traveling, of course, as far as really all over the world and even the country. They go from Florida all the way up to Maine, Illinois, Washington, Oregon, everywhere in California. Pretty much every state, almost every state has a BMX track. A lot of states do, and multiple BMX tracks. So any kid that's on the national circuit, they are homeschooled. Most of them are homeschooled, and they really hit it hard. And they're almost every weekend is a BMX national, and they're out there racing. So it's a lot of travel, a lot of time, man. It's definitely when it comes to the parents. It gets a little bit tough, but having sponsorships and good teams and things that we're trying to put in play, definitely helps out a lot for kids that want to do that and take it to the next level.
Right on. No, it's pretty cool. Like I said, guys, when we first started this journey out with Sid, we only had 2 riders. We had Sid and Tanner Wright out of Lake Havasu, and these 2 guys have gone out. They've kind of spread the word a little bit, and I think we built a pretty good team right now. What do we sit in total? 12. We got 12 riders on the team right now. But it's a pretty awesome thing to be out there and seeing it and be a part of it, and truly have the privilege of watching what goes on out here. So it is a pretty cool thing. I'd like to give a couple of shouts out to Larry Kendrick over at Mojave Daily News. He's stepped up quite a bit and kind of lent us a hand in the forming of the team. Like I said, this was something that was all new to me. Sid's an old pro at it. A shout out to Frank Casillas over at Rad Stop Bike Shop here in Bullhead City. If you're trying to get into this and you're trying to get into the BMX, or your kids are trying to get into it and you want some great advice on entry-level bikes and getting them started, definitely go over and see Frank. He can either get you a used bike or get you a new bike, but he can give you all the tips on kind of the way to get into it. He's had Sid riding, what was it, 3 years old, 4 years old?
I started riding bikes when I was about 3, but I got out to the BMX track when I was 4.5.
So yeah, Frank is a great point of contact over there if you have any questions and you're just trying to get a kid into this sport, or you as an adult, you want to get into the sport. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I was amazed at when I was out there at the track, that you have 3, 4, 5-year-old kids out there, but we started watching some of the later races going on in the day, and you had 65 and older.
Yeah, Turnell Henry, who runs, he's a track operator here at Colorado River BMX. He's a Hall of Famer for USA BMX, and he's well known in the country in the BMX culture. I want to say he rides it's 16 over expert in cruiser class, yeah, and he's just as fast as me, man. So him having that age and him being as fast as he is, it's awesome to see. Yeah. So yeah, there's 55 and over women that are out there racing every single week and doing the national circuit.
Yeah, I was just going to say, ladies, it's not just a man's sport. We're out there and we're seeing 55 and older women out there, and they're out there getting it, and they're going after it.
The girls class, one of my favorite classes. They're fun to watch, man. They go fast and they get after it. The little girls too. They're a lot of fun. The 5 and under expert kids, the boys and the girls, they're a lot of fun to watch because 5 and under, already going through the ranks of novice, intermediate, and expert, being on the national circuit and competing every single weekend. It's awesome to see the little kids out there having fun.
Cool. Well, you heard it here, guys. Anderson Ford BMX, Bullhead City. If you ever want to go out and see Sid, he's usually out at the track on Thursday nights and on Fridays out there. if you have any questions for them, go on out and check it out. If it's a sport you'd like to get yourself involved in or get your kids involved in, head on over there, talk to them, and get a little bit of advice. Again, you can head over to Rad Stop Bike Shop here in Bullhead City. Your dad now, he also has a skating bike shop up in Kingman, right?
Yeah. He just opened up Beale Street Skate and Supply right out there in Kingman. So right on Beale Street, right in the heart of town. So right when you guys are pulling in, if you have some time to kill, or you want to swing by, if you're in Kingman, out in that area, go check out Beale Street Skate and Supply. Definitely a nice new spot that my dad opened up. They're really cool inside. Has a lot of inventory, clothing as well. He also does scooter and bicycle stuff. So not only a skate shop.
Very cool. And Anderson, of course, we're also up there in Kingman. We've got our Ford store up there in Kingman. So we've got our stores in Kingman, all of our stores over in Havasu. So we try to reach the whole community out here. So if there's any kids, like I said, Laughlin, Kingman, Bullhead, Havasu, reach out. If this is a sport that you're truly interested in being a part of, it seems like it's a great sport. It seems like you guys have had quite a bit of team building too. I know you say it's an individual sport where no one's riding the bench, but I've been at some of these things and I see these kids bonding and hanging out together, and the parents. We've got our team mom.
Shawnee is a great team mom. She hooks it up and makes sure all the kids. We provide snacks every weekend for the kids and all the riders, and she does a good job of making sure that we're organized, distributing all that stuff out, and make sure that the kids are all energized and good to go.
So that's it, man. Well, you heard it here, guys. Anderson Ford BMX of Bullhead City. We got Sid the Kid over here as the one of the riders and the coach of the team. Thank you, Sid, for giving us the time today to sit down and talk and kind of get us a little bit more of the insight into what the BMX life and what the BMX world is all about. We're going to kind of wrap it up here today with this edition of Chalk Talk.